Monday, May 2nd, we're going to be jumping into game number 2 for tomorrow night. The Milwaukee Bucks versus the Boston Celtics. We're going to be joined by Evan Moore, another great contributor from the Peach Basket. Now, Evan is a Los Angeles Lakers main contributor for the Peach Basket, and I don't think he's actually going to be minding that we're talking about the Celtics, given the rivalry that's taken place between the Celtics and the Lakers. But great basketball mind, great contributor to a great basketball site in the Peach Basket. Game number 2, Bucks Celtics, taking place on Tuesday, May 3rd. Let's go. Let's get into it. Take care. All right, we're back with another edition of Making Picks. Game number 2, Milwaukee Bucks back in Boston, taking on the Celtics. As promised, I actually have another key member of the Peach Basket family, Evan Moore, who joins us. So, hey, Evan, hope everything's going well today.
Yeah, doing good, man. Thanks for having me. And, thanks for letting a Laker fan sneak in here to talk about the Celtics.
Well, there's a rhyme and a reason as to why I kind of wanted to do it. Because one, there's a good, healthy rivalry that takes place from a Lakers and a Celtics perspective. I'm actually pretty, locked into the Winning Time show that's kind of taking place on HBO. And I just think, hey, you know what? A lot of you guys from the Peach Basket team, you put out like a ton of great basketball content. And I would actually think, even though you don't necessarily have like a dog in the playoff fight this year, you have to be locked into the Celtics, probably rooting for them to lose, or am I off the mark on this one?
Oh no, you're 100% right. 100% right. They cannot get to 18 before we do.
That's right. Now, and it's a good thing you kind of can mention that we could actually we spoke about this briefly on our introductory kind of call, because I actually have a lot of family in the Boston area. I had an aunt and uncle who lived in the Boston area. That's really kind of went for Thanksgiving. So they're big Celtics kind of fans, and just to piss them off, I throw that stuff, in their face as well. Hey, you know what? Lakers catching up to you guys. And they always throw this kind of, back on me, and I'll kind of throw it over to you to see how you would actually address it here. They always kind of tell me that from a Lakers perspective, you got to remember that those first 4 championships were actually won in Minneapolis. And then the team actually moved from Minneapolis over to LA. So as a Lakers fan, do you kind of look at it as 17 or 17 minus 4?
Yeah, that's fair, but if they're going to bring that up, let's, we can go back and look at Red was kind of skirting the rules a little there for those 11, so we can make some asterisks
Fair.
around that too. So
There you go. All right. So I mean, look, but we did. We're kind of we want to kind of locking in. So I mean, just talk about that like a little bit here. So on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of your hatred for the Celtics, are we looking at like an 11? Is it, hey, you know what, we've kind of gotten the better of them in the past a couple of years, so it's kind of knocked down to like a 6 or a 7? Or like you said here, look, I can't get these buggers to 18 before we do, that type of a deal. Talk about the rivalry and how you kind of sit in the whole equation here.
yeah, well, I'd say, it's not quite an 11 anymore. You definitely was when I was younger, for sure.
Sure.
For sure, but it's still a very good strong 10.
All right, fair enough.
you know,
And, and look, but no, not by any stretch of the imagination am I calling you old, because I kind of feel that like I'm in the older category in comparison to a lot of the content creators from a sports perspective that are kicking around YouTube and kind of on Twitter. But um, I obviously do remember the '80s, and of course we have I'm locked in to the Winning Time kind of show that's taking place on HBO. I know that there's a lot of things that have kind of gone back and forth between the West family and their displeasure on how he's actually being portrayed kind of on Winning Time. But just in terms of like the vibe, because it's pretty apparent by episode number 4 that rivalry with the Celtics is locked in, and some of the things that Magic has actually gone through with Bird here. From your perspective and thinking back to those '80s, how accurate do you feel that the show is kind of like depicting or building up to the ultimate, rivalry that was taking place between the Lakers and the Celtics?
Yeah, I think, as far as storyline, it's pretty accurate. Now they are, some of the actors are definitely taking liberties that, I think Jerry West has some reason to be a little bit upset because, you know, Jason Clark's portrayal of him is definitely over the top. Now, there's all kinds of, documentation about Jerry kind of being a little difficult, about, being a little angry at times, but it's not explosive anger, like you see with on the TV show. It's more this like seething kind of quiet anger. And so that's a little much there. And but it's also kind of understandable because I think a lot of people don't realize how like fully committed to the Lakers that Jerry was, like, and that's, I mean, that's one of the reasons that he was so angry and kind of like, because it just meant that much to him and everything. So yeah, but I feel like the rest of it, because I've also read the book. Jeff Pearlman's book is really, really good. And it stays pretty close to, stuff that he was talking about in the book. So, I feel like a lot of that's really good. The acting is incredible. Like the only real casting that I've had a little bit of a problem with was Dr. J. But I felt like, those are such huge shoes to fill. Like, I mean, I don't know how you were going to get that right anyway. So I'm able to forgive that, because like, I mean, that guy was the master of cool, and just yeah, really hard shoes to fill. But yeah, I've been loving that show, and we've been doing our own little show at the Peach Basket, every Sunday night talking about it. We got one more coming up here this last Sunday. That'll be a final show for episode 10. So, but it's been a lot of fun.
Oh, really? That's it? They're done at 10?
Yeah, they're done at 10 because this season will end. It looks like they're doing it, per season. So this will be the 79-80 season,
Of
and
course.
next year will be 80-81. So
All right, so that's the good thing. So this is continuing.
yes, they've already been approved for the second season. So I'm stoked about that.
Gotcha. I appreciate it. So, I mean, were you kind of like, shocked or surprised? I know that I was here in watching the Celtics battle the Nets in game one here. I mean, you can always make the argument, heading into that play or heading into the 2022 playoffs that the Celtics are a better team, but 4-game sweep against a team that has two players that you can make the argument are top 75 NBA players of all time in Irving and Durant. Was that something like a surprise to you, or as you've been keeping your eye on the Celtics and things like that here, this is not necessarily a shock to you at all?
No, that wasn't a surprise to me. Actually, when I made playoff picks, they're my dark horse pick. I've picked Milwaukee to come out of the East, but like, I have to admit this is a little bit of my Laker bias coming out because like even at the number 2 seed, like I've been watching them all season and like they've been incredible this second half of the season. But like I still can't get it in my heart to get them past the dark horse, But like but I do have a legitimate reason for that too. I feel like, Milwaukee's experience, gives them the edge. And they have a real edge that you saw on Sunday inside. Like the Celtics just do not have an answer for Giannis. And I think that's what's going to be really hard for them to overcome. But I think this series is going to go 7 games because I feel like these two teams really match up really well. And but I just think the Bucks are just going to have a little bit more just because of the experience. But yeah, the Celtics really haven't surprised me because I think this second half of the season they've been playing some of the best basketball. And I believe someone mentioned a stat that like the final 41 games, not only were they with the number one defense, but they were also the number 1 offense for those final 41 games. And that's, I mean, if you got a team doing that, that's tough to beat in a 7-game series. So, and with them getting Robert Williams back, like, yeah, they're a legitimate tough team. And yeah, I am worried about them getting to 18.
Well, we'll see. I mean, yeah, let's kind of like go ahead and dive into game one. It was probably I guess from my perspective, a pretty impressive performance by Milwaukee.
Yeah.
From a Boston perspective here, I'm not sure how you can go into game two and beyond. I think they learned like the hard way that if they're going to have any, shot and kind of, extending this thing and making a series out of it here, you got to double Giannis. I mean, I'm not sure what they were doing for majority kind of game one here, but if you're only going to put one body on him, you're going to actually see him do things like he did kind of yesterday. So,
Yeah.
with regards to that, were there any other key kind of takeaways or surprises that you saw from taking a look at game one?
Yeah. I was really impressed with how the Bucks really stepped up their defense to
No
match.
Middleton too. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. With no Middleton, not having, yeah, like, because I thought that might kind of really level them, bring them closer together. But like, I felt like the Bucks had control of that game all day yesterday, and like, all game yesterday. And I just, yeah, I never felt like, every time the Celtics were creeping closer, you just felt like, the Bucks were just going to push them away again. And like, so yeah, I was really impressed with how well the Bucks played yesterday.
nice. Well, let's get into it. You ready to make some picks?
Yes, definitely.
Right. So for anybody who's actually checking this out for the first time or maybe like the second time here, all we're doing is, guys, we're just playing a little game here. The game's got a little bit of a different twist on fantasy sports. For today, we are playing on the traditional Statement Games platform. In the future, we could be playing on some of our partners' platforms, but for today, we're just on StatementGames.com. You can log in with Google, Facebook, or a good old-fashioned verified email address. But again, can't stress this enough here. It's just a game. It is free to play. Keep watching to the end of this video, and I will come to the table with a prize should anybody go 10 for 10 with their selections. But the game is pretty simple. We're going to be reviewing a handful of picks as it relates to game number 2, Milwaukee at Boston, 2022 NBA playoffs. From the list, we're going to be selecting 10 props or joint card. We'll be ranking those picks in order of confidence from 10 through 1. As game number 2 plays out, if the number 10 pick becomes correct, we'll get 10 points. If 9 through 1 are incorrect, well, now we just have a total of 10 points. In this specific case here, we're going to be playing in a league of 12, and the individual with the most points from correct picks wins. So I know that, Evan, you've kind of gone through this process a couple of times before, so
Yeah.
hopefully everything makes sense. But for the purposes of this video, there is like one little caveat here, in the fact that we're not going to make all 10 on air. I'll make 3, you'll make 3. We'll leave 4. We'll kind of make them off air just to give this card a little bit of a competitive advantage. But then also keep in mind that although we might have differing opinions in regards to game number 2, keep in mind we are playing as a team. So, for example, if I take Boston over 123.5 points, you're not going to want to take the under, if that makes sense here.
Absolutely.
So, let's see here. JP, obviously a big member of the Peach Basket kind of family, had a little bit of a rough outing. Not bad, but 1 for 3 with their picks. So just to make sure that you're aware, as I started this format at the start of the 2022 NBA playoffs, so far the guests that I've brought on to this show here are 6 for 9 with their picks.
Gotcha.
So pretty good. So the first individual went 3 for 3. The second person went 2 for 3. JP went 1 for 3. So overall, the group is doing pretty good. So a little bit of pressure on you. But then again,
the pressure's on.
Yeah, you gotta pick JP up like a little bit here. Me, on the other hand, I nailed my last game going 3 for 3 with my picks. However, the game before that, I put up a goose egg. So overall for the playoffs here, I am currently 5 for 9. So as of right now, the guests are beating me by 1. But overall, as a collective group here, we're doing okay. We're doing all right. So since everything is kind of there's not necessarily that much of an advantage between like the guest kicking my butt and vice versa here, I'll throw it over to you. Do you want to pick first, or would you like me to pick first?
Sure, I'll go ahead and pick first. There's
go for it.
Looking over this list, the one that really stood out to me. Where actually there's three that basically, but the one that I'm going to put at number 10 is the Boston under, because these two teams, like if these two teams have any games that get in the 120s, I will be shocked. Like, this is going to be like 80s and 90s basketball. You know, a lot of defense, a lot of low scoring. I think like probably the high scoring game in this series will be like maybe in the 105 to 110 range. Like I don't see them getting to that 120 range.
Yeah,
So
I'll have to.
I feel like that's a lock.
So you're looking at the Boston Celtics under 123.5 points?
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and lock that one in. Now, do you want to keep that in the number 10 slot, or would you like to slot that down into a different position?
No, I like that in the 10 slot.
All right, good for you. That's good stuff. Yeah, I think the system might be a little bit off here. I still kind of think that the Brooklyn series threw my system off like a little bit here, and where the algorithms that we're utilizing are kind of like encompassing in some regular season games as well as some of the Brooklyn kind of playoff games here. So I'm not sure if it's completely caught up yet. But hey, you know what? With that in mind here, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and kind of do the same thing here. So I'm going to jump into the combo category. I'm thinking like the same thing with you. I think 245.5 is extremely high, way too high.
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and I'm going to lock it in at number 9. I'm going to take the under 245.5 points. Obviously, we're both thinking defense and playoff basketball. This is going to have some chippiness as well as an edge to it here. So points will be at a premium.
Exactly. And now, next one I would do is also the Milwaukee under.
Okay. So Milwaukee Bucks, we are going to go with under 119.5.
Yep.
Cool. All right, there you go. Speaking of edginess and defense and, just some rough kind of play. I mean, Giannis is a beast here. I know it's kind of a little bit tight. I wouldn't necessarily lock this in per se, so I'm not going to lock this in at 7. I'm going to probably drop this down. I'm thinking, as I'm speaking out loud here, probably into like either the 3 or the 2 slot here. But I'm going to take Giannis over 12.5 rebounds.
Yeah, I think that's a good bet.
And I'll all right. So I'll slide that up to number 3.
Okay.
One more.
Yeah, the last one I want to take, I believe, is Boston over 4.5 blocks. That one seems like an easy one to achieve for a defensive team like them.
Very good. Okay. 4.5 blocks. I'm going to jump into the team kind of category, and I actually think that this is going to kind of have some edge here. So I think Milwaukee will get to the line. I think they'll get to the line, frequently. Again, this is not necessarily a high priority kind of pick, but I'm going to take the over 17.5 free throws, and that I will go ahead and lock into the number 2 slot.
Cool.
So that's it. We will make the remaining kind of 4 picks offline just to kind of give the card some competitive advantage. Evan, I really appreciate your time and giving us some insight on Celtics basketball from a Lakers perspective. I'm sure there's going to be some eyes rolling on this show here, but hey, you know what? It's my show. I'm having a little fun with it. I'll do whatever the hell I want,
Yeah, well, you're in New York. You got that Boston, New York rivalry going on too.
Yeah,
so
I don't really like Boston,
Exactly. We're kind of on the same team here.
But other than that, I'm just kind of curious because I really appreciate you kept clicking some of the buttons and playing a couple of these games here. I'm just kind of curious from an outsider looking in here. Overall, like, what do you think of Statement Games? What do you think of the game? Is it fun? And any specific likes, dislikes here? Hopefully, you can kind of give us some feedback on what we got going on over here.
Sure. Yeah, I really like this format. I think this is really, this is really a smart, setup. I like your, 10-to-1 thing, and just picking these little, over unders and all this. I really dig this system that you've got here. And yeah, I think I'm going to be coming back to play with this every once in a while, because this is pretty fun. I dig it.
Well, I think there's some cool things that we're going to be gearing up for with Statement Games as well as the Peach Basket heading into the 22-23 season. But we'll, wait to make some formal announcement as we start to kind of going to get closer to all that stuff over here. And before I kind of going to let you go, I almost actually forgot. Talk about some of the things that you'll be doing from a summer league kind of perspective. You're looking to kind of cover
Sure.
summer league here. I got your GoFundMe page scrolling at the bottom.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Yeah, like I am my I am dying to get the summer league this year. I want to go for the whole 10 days. So I set up a GoFundMe account to help me get there. And I've already got a little bit of that, and I've at least got my hotel booked. So I'm ready to be there for 10 days, but I still
It's a
need
long time.
yeah, that is a long time to be in Vegas.
10
I do.
days, 10 days
Yeah.
in Vegas is
Yeah, I've had about a 4 or 5 day trip in Vegas where, like, by day three I'm like a little tired before, so I am kind of like, but I am bringing my car, so I feel like, I can, you know split for a little hike every once in a while, and, even in the heat, and just get away from the city for a little bit. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to being there for all 10 days. And, it looks like, they used to do this, like 3 cities. I believe it used to be Las Vegas, Sacramento, and Salt Lake City. But, because of COVID, they've now, it looks like everybody's descending on Vegas this year. And so, I'm, not only do I want to go to be there, but, like, I'm hoping to make more contacts, for the Peach Basket, as well as myself, for freelance writing. So yeah, I'm just like, this is like a dream come true. So if anybody out there can help me, please, please, please.
sounds like a plan. Like I said, I really appreciate your time. We'll catch you soon.
Thanks a lot, Mark. Really appreciate you, man.
Take care now. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you had fun with that edition of Making Picks, you're more than welcome to play along with us. Go ahead and give this channel a subscribe. Also, give the video a little bit of a thumbs up, and drop a comment in the comment section below here. If you're playing with us, let us know who your number 10 pick is. And if you go 10 for 10 with your selections, I'll send you $150 cash. So along with that comment of who your number 10 pick is, make sure that you just kind of reference your Statement Games username as well. Be well, everybody. Talk to you soon. Take care.